after working in these capacities that I mentioned, mapping, the research, the opportunity to do public spaces with the funds from Citibank Venezuela, it was obvious to me that what needed to be breached was the stigmas about barrios, the negative kind of aura that has been completely constructed through modernity mostly, and that wasn't an architecture question, although it's part of it, or a built environment question. And I had already known of the work that Cho Carvajal with Ciudad Laboratorio was doing in another barrio called El Calvario, where he organized one day in December of activities within the barrio that were about its identity. They celebrate a kind of a Christmas tradition, which is the parranda, and music produced by local musicians. It does a procession through the barrio, and it's with drums. It's fantastic, super lively and full of energy. And he just added a number of other initiatives that would open people's doors up, and that was an open invitation to the entire city to come and see that. And it just resonated with me. It was so, I participated. He would invite folks if they wanted to be a part of it. And so we needed an excuse to kind of join forces and have a pot of funds to be able to do something with it that was not going to be necessarily physical. And that required that I become independent. I was no longer going to be sort of working as a offshoot of another NGO or contracted by the NGO to do architectural services, but that I would have to be sort of the head or the lead of this. So it required registering non-for-profit in Venezuela. It required then, I knew about the American Embassy's cultural programs, and just inquired, tried to find out, what's the process? How do you put them together? That took some time. And what is interesting to them, sort of make this become malleable enough to be along the lines of interest that they have, because that is always the case. An opportunity arises, but the financing entity has an agenda as well. So that first grant was a lot of work, and it took some time. It finally came through, and we worked diligently, and I think beyond the expectations that were set, to the point that, we've had a second opportunity for a project to be funded different from the barrio project. It has to do with the river in Caracas. Precisely, I think, because we, impressed, made a noise, even though we cannot divulge who the financing entity is within Venezuela. That project's over, so it's not a risk anymore. And that gave us some credibility. It gave us presence. I invited then ambassadors from other nations to come to our exhibition. I had met them through other instances, and seeing the kind of work that we were doing interested them, so made us privy of openings and offerings that they had within their cultural branches of embassies. And it has been easier since then, actually, because we've actually, like, the Goethe Institute approached us and asked if we would present a proposal to them. I feel that there's some credibility that's won through the process, and being a bit innovative, like thinking, okay, this needs to come into, let's say, the middle class elite in the form of an exhibition in a consolidated, well-respected institution, and that will make the barrio be looked at within the context of art in a way that can pry people's minds open. This is something that Martha Nussbaum speaks of very eloquently. So we're not focused only on the barrio and its people. We're very much focused on everybody else rearranging their stigmas about the barrio and having an opportunity to recognize them for their history, their contributions to the city, and to see it differently than this aberrant, disease, which is just the ready-made go-to connotation that people in the middle class tend to have. So I've since now founded Enlace in the United States as a 501c3. We were granted recently our 501c3 status. And so my intentions is to understand this approach as something that, yes, we're doing in Venezuela, but could also very much, I think, be doing in Miami as well. These issues of territorial inequality are, as you said, ubiquitous. And I've loved acknowledging and manifesting how much more powerful we are coming together as many disciplines and working together, but working, with folks from the community, working with folks from outside the community, and finding synergies just kind of is, I think, what people are searching and expecting, even if they don't consciously, verbalize it in those terms.